That did not work. It never does. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Facci Cinema, continuing the 31 days of Myers, which is hard to believe. We're almost at the end of October already. But that doesn't mean that Halloween talk's ever going to stop on this channel. It's one of the main things I talk about on this channel, being one of the smaller Halloween channels out there. But tonight, I wanted to have a very special guest. We've been trying to work something out for a very long time, but due to timing differences from him being across the pond, never works out. 5 hours apart, it's just really hard to get together. But I was on vacation this week and was able to jump on early. I'm going to bring on Barry from WolfmansGotNards, and we are going to be ranking the openings of the Halloween franchise from worst to best. And here is Barry. Hey, Barry, what is
Hello.
up? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. Ready to talk Halloween because that's all we ever talk about, and that is totally fine with me.
I'm glad you called me Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. Some people call me Wolfman from Wolfman's Got Nards, so it's really good. Thanks for getting my name
No
right.
problem. I mean, yeah, your name's Barry, so I mean, maybe some people don't know that. If they're new to you, maybe they don't. But I'm gonna
Mm.
refer to you as Barry, not Wolfman's from WolfmansGotNards. Even though love the movie your channel name comes from, huge fan of Monster Squad. That is one thing that led me to your channel because I didn't know a lot of people even knew what that movie was, and
Yeah,
somebody who loves it just as much, probably more than I do. It was amazing to find somebody out there.
yeah. That's why I put my name down as Wolfman's Got Nards, just to see if anyone notices. I don't tell anyone, oh, this channel is dedicated to the Monster Squad. I just want people to find out for themselves.
Yeah,
So if someone says it to me, I'm like, you know horror. I like you.
it's a classic. I rented it so much as a kid. Watched it probably 2 to 3 times a week growing up. I wish it would get like a 4K steelbook release. That would be fantastic. But maybe one day.
Hmm.
And I think didn't I maybe I heard this wrong. Something about maybe a remake, but I think that's been talked about forever. But I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's been talks of a remake for 15 years or so now, so it's probably not going to happen, to be honest. But we've got the 4K coming out in November, which is cool. So I'm going
Hmm.
to be ordering the 4K. It's not a steelbook, but a 4K movie, which is
Yeah,
cool.
I had to upgrade as well. I was hoping it was a steelbook with the beautiful artwork, but I'll take a 4K
Yeah.
of that classic flick. So yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna be ranking the Halloween franchise opening scene slash title card, I guess, from worst to best. This was kind of hard because I don't really have much hate for any of them, probably except for maybe one.
Mhm.
So putting the tops in order was really hard. I know you're a big Halloween H2O guy, so I'm excited to see where that one ends up in this ranking.
Just
I
looking
mean,
there.
I did endings last week, and obviously I'm a big H2O guy myself, so that one was pretty high in that ranking. So we'll see where this opening
Mm.
winds up for this one. It's not as good as the ending, but it's still good in my
Well, that
opinion.
this is a good thing about the openings, because even though there's some really stinking movies in the franchise, some of the bad films have actually got not a bad opening to them. So
Mhm.
the ranking for my movies is completely different to the rankings to my openings, which is quite cool. And my
Yep.
rankings always change as well. So that's always something. The good thing is I was actually recording a video today and editing. So what I had to do was look at all the movies again. And specifically, I went to the openings just to refresh myself to make sure I've got
Mhm.
my list right. And hopefully I do myself justice.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch them as well. It's tough. Endings was a different story. I don't know. Endings more climactic, more stuff going on. Openings depending on which film. Gonna be interesting to see. Uh, and hopefully I don't make have any bad choices. But people are always gonna hate on whatever you do, so it is what it is. 13 movies in all, including Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, because why not? It's an amazing movie. I don't know
Mhm.
why anybody hates it. Oh wait, Michael Myers isn't in it. Who cares? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Yeah. So starting at number 13, I will let you go first.
Me? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So number 13 on my list is actually from, there's only maybe, yeah, I think there's only one film in this whole franchise that I didn't love the opening, and this is
Mhm.
number 13, and that is the opening to Halloween 5.
Wow.
Revenge of Michael Myers. The reason for that is because I absolutely adored the ending to Halloween 4.
Hmm.
So get into Halloween 5, I would love to see a continuation of what happened at the end of Halloween 4. And we didn't get that. Not only did we not get that, we get something completely strange, like they completely changed Jamie Lloyd. She was a mute at the beginning. That just didn't feel like a classic Halloween opening. We didn't get that dusk setting. We didn't get
Yeah.
a pumpkin. We didn't get anything that was kind of relatable to anything that was seen in any Halloween opening. And it redone a few things, changed a few things up as well. Like when Michael went down to the shaft, it was just like a grave to begin with. And
Yeah.
then it became this big shaft running down to a stream, and the old man is living in the stream. It just it didn't even the Dr. Death, I think it was,
Yeah. Dr. Death. Yeah.
with the alternate opening, it still didn't feel like anything that needed to be changed in that way. It's something I can't really explain too much, but the opening to Halloween 5 is genuinely the only one I didn't like. The rest of them, we've got positives, but Halloween 5 has got absolutely no positives to it because it changed the end to Halloween 4 and it just didn't feel right at all. So that's my last place.
Okay. Damn, I thought this one would have been last place, but it's last place for me. Rob Zombie's Halloween, his original remake.
Hmm.
I do not like that opening at all. I mean, let alone the title card drop. It's just like boom, Halloween. That's it.
Hmm.
Nothing. Then we get some 70s rock and roll, I think. And then the white trash stuff that I just don't enjoy watching at all. I usually just skip it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's interesting to see Myers as a kid and actually talking and functioning, but it just doesn't work for me. I know a lot of people like Rob Zombie's Halloween remake, but the opening, probably 20, 25 minutes, skip it every time, except for when Michael kills the bully in the woods. Watching that kill just feels different. When I saw it in theaters for the first time, I can't even. It just felt so cold and so real and mean. But other than that, I mean, Ronnie, people do like him just because he's a jackass. He's funny, I guess, but it just doesn't work for me. I mean, his sister's pretty, you know, sister's pretty hot in this movie as well, but not enough to save it, unfortunately. So definitely last Rob Zombie's Halloween.
But it kind of depends then. Like with Rob Zombie's Halloween, it's not a great film, but when you're looking at the opening, you could look at the opening as Michael being a kid right up
Hmm.
until when he's an adult. So I think I won't mention anything yet until I get to Rob Zombie's Halloween, but I
Yeah,
think maybe my opening is
a little.
specific. Yeah, I won't say anything else.
Okay, good
Yeah.
enough. Number 12.
12. Do you want me to go again?
Yep, you can go.
Okay, number 12 is Halloween Resurrection. Now, opening's not terrible. Obviously,
No.
it's bad because of what they've done to Laurie Strode. They really done the dirty on Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
But when you look at the movie as a whole, now I don't know if you feel the same, but when I watch Halloween Resurrection, it's one of the worst in the franchise. But if you
Of course.
had to point out one part of the movie that was the best, it's probably the parts with Laurie Strode, whether she lives or dies,
Yep.
regardless of what they changed. Now, parts of it that I hate is similar to Halloween 5 in that they changed the ending to Halloween H2O to suit their narrative, which is what they've done with this one. Now,
Yeah.
Michael Myers didn't get his head chopped off. It was a paramedic, and the rest is history. So I didn't like that part. I didn't like the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis died at the beginning, which is
No.
why it's 12th on the list. But there's something about the mood, the atmosphere. Even Michael Myers didn't look bad
Hmm.
at the beginning of the movie. So it had that look and feel and the aesthetic to the franchise that I thought this might be a decent film. But after she died, it just went all the way
Yes.
downhill. But it's not a terrible opening, but there are some really bad bits in it, which is why it's lower on the list than I would want it to be.
Hmm. I get you. That's coming up for me shortly. My number 12 is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Like you said, he goes down, let alone he goes down in the one mask, comes out in another. We get to see him floating down the river, having a good old time with his little safety device on. You clearly can see sticking out of his arms. That's fine. He's with the hermit for a year. Who knows what they're doing down there? We don't need to know what they were doing because it's pretty gross. And like the Dr. Death, I mean, it really doesn't change anything. I mean, it's interesting, I guess, but it doesn't change it at all. Like you said, Jamie's completely changed from 4 to 5. Doesn't work. I mean, the recap of 4 was fine. I thought we were watching like a Friday the 13th movie. They had to show us the whole first 10 minutes, but that's fine. But I don't hate Halloween 5 as bad as the movie kind of is. I grew up with that one on AMC Fear Fest, Monster Fest, whatever it was called. It was always on back to back 4 and 5. So watch 5 a ton. But the opening, not good. The slicing of pumpkin during the credit scene is pretty cool, I guess. It's different. Definitely unique for a Halloween movie, but it's not enough to make it go any higher. So
yeah. Well, now that we've both mentioned Halloween 5, I guess we can kind of talk about it a little bit more. And that I rewatched Halloween 5 recently, and do you know what? It's not a terrible film. It's not terrible. There's parts of it that I think they could do more with this. They could have done more, like the barn scene. There's just things in it you think that could be better if you had a better script, no mute Jamie Lloyd, and a different mask as well. I don't know if masks don't always make a big difference, but I think cleaning that up a bit, Halloween 5 could have been better, but
they talk about the H2O mask, but the H5 one ain't any better. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean the Halloween 5 mask, I always say that looks like a pigeon, like a weird bird. Like you said, he went down the shaft with the Halloween 4 mask and came out with the Halloween 5 mask. Like, hello. I don't know.
Somebody said the water, that mask getting in the water changed the way it looks. I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. But if that makes you feel better, then good for you.
Yeah, let's run with that.
But Halloween, I don't know. Halloween 5 has good atmosphere. I'll give it that. It screams Halloween, I think. Yeah. Especially the party, the barn stuff. Really, it works. The portrayal of Michael is fine, I guess. A lot of people don't like Dr. Loomis. I dig him in this one. I think he's hilarious. He's totally off his rocker. I like it, but the opening, nah, not for me. No. You're number 11.
So number 11 is Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. This one, the parts that I liked about it was, again, some of the mood and atmosphere at the beginning was pretty cool. Now, I'm looking at The Curse of Michael Myers opening from the bit where Michael has a baby with his niece, and then leading on to when Jamie escapes with that lady, and then Michael puts her face or her head in the spike. That's my kind of opening to Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. So the last part of the opening with him grabbing the woman and putting her through the spike, that was really good.
I like that.
But when I first watched The Curse of Michael Myers, I was expecting a grounded, down to earth Halloween movie with Michael Myers in it. And when I saw this whole Thorn cult with the baby lying on the table, I'm just like, what's this? And just to reassure myself, I watched the producer's cut again, and it's very similar. There's not much difference between the producer's cut and the director's, the theatrical cut at the openings. So there's not much difference, if anything. So whatever cut you watch, it would still be in the same position for me in number 11. It felt too far-fetched, but the reason it's a little bit higher than Resurrection is because it's had a lot more mood and atmosphere in this than Resurrection did. And the opening kill with that woman on the spike was probably one of the better kills in the franchise. So that's the reason it's number 11.
Okay, my number 11 is Halloween Resurrection. It's not last. Congratulations. It's like you said, the opening is not bad. It's not bad. You got, once again, we're going to say it a lot in these Halloween movies. It got mood. It got some mood, got some atmosphere going around. The theme song isn't that terrible, I don't think. I think it's a pretty good rendition. of it. Michael doesn't look that bad until he gets hit with the lamp, and then he gets some Sum 41 hair that's like afroed out. But
yeah, big
you
afro.
know, electric shock. It happens. It happens.
Yeah, I'm
The
glad.
fake.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
before you say, I'm glad you said that because I see people all the time saying, I like the Halloween Resurrection mask, but I don't like the H2O mask because it's got an afro. And I'm like, if you think the H2O mask has got an afro, just look at the Resurrection mask. It's even bigger. Anyway, sorry, on you go.
He's walking down the hallway in the background. All you see is the top of the hair sticking up above Laurie's head.
Yeah.
He looks, the mask itself, like the facial is fine. It's fine. It's not terrible. Looks like it got a little bit of makeup on it, but other than that, it's not that bad. The stuff with Laurie, like you said, unfortunately, probably the best part of this movie, because it just tanks after this. Not that I'm a Busta Rhymes hater. I'm not. I don't got a problem with Freddy, but he's fun. He's a fun character. He just beats the shit out of Michael, which is unacceptable. But
trick or treat, mother.
It just happened. You got to deal with it. Yep. Opening's weak. It's not as bad as the first two I mentioned, but after that point, the movie just tanks. And then we get that one arm pull down again in this one that just doesn't work because it doesn't look the same as it did in H2O.
Yeah.
But they tried. The two kills are pretty cool down in the laundry room. Really dark and the shadows and with that clown guy.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, he was pretty good. I like it when he was telling the history of Michael, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just put another Dr. Loomis like voiceover on top of him walking down the hallway, but I don't think people would have liked that very much. But yeah, Halloween Resurrection number 11.
Good choice.
Cracking top 10.
Yeah. You want to go into number 10 now?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. No, I'm disappointed that this is number 10, but I have to be true to myself. You ready?
It is what I think it is.
No, it's probably not.
Okay.
So Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Okay. Not what I thought it was going to be.
It's a lot higher on my list in terms of quality of movie, but in terms of openings, I think the reason it's lower down than I wanted it to be is because I wasn't quite sure what I was watching. That's my issue with it. I'm like, what's happening here? This guy, is he a robot? Is he not? Now, I do love the atmosphere all the way through the film, all the way through the opening. The score is great. That's, again, it's why it's not last. But it's just something about it that I was disconnected with. No, I'm disconnected with this movie overall because it's not a Michael Myers movie. But I have to put that to the side and watch it as a non-Michael Myers movie. So judging the movie on that, my only issue with it is I wasn't understanding what was happening. And that's because I'd never seen the movie before when I first watched it. So going back on it, because I know what's happening now, I understand it, but I still have to base it overall. So great atmosphere, great score, great mood. Everything's great looking in it. But the story itself, especially from the beginning, it's questionable. So I wanted to put it higher, but I can't. So number 10.
Damn. You might be making me move something around here on the fly because you made good points. You know what? Number 10, I'm going to move it. I think I have it up too high as well. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch as well.
Right.
The point of you saying you didn't know what you didn't know what you're in for, you don't know what's going on. That is a good point. I think I'm going to have to put that into consideration. Yeah, I do. I love Halloween 3. I've never been a hater of it whatsoever. Just accepting Michael's not there and just enjoy it. It's a nice little sci-fi horror flick with Carpenter tones all over it. Soundtrack's great. The theme's great. The opening with the pumpkin on the screen, all digital and stuff on the computer. Love it. Hospital stuff. Miss Dr. Chalice. I mean, Tom Atkins is a legend. It's good. He goes in there and rips that dude's freaking face apart. It's amazing. He lights himself on fire, and you're just like, what is going? You don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's good. It probably should be up higher, but due to the fact that we had no idea what this was, didn't know what to expect, I guess I got to put it here. Number 10, Season of the Witch. It's a good movie, though.
Yeah, I think so far our lists haven't been too different. Obviously, there's one glaring obvious one so far, but we'll get to that eventually.
We're getting there. All right, your number 9.
Okay. My number 9, surprisingly, I thought this would be a lot higher, but it's not. My number 9 is David Gordon Green's Halloween from 2018. Um,
Okay.
the reason for that is it's a good opening. It's a good return for the franchise because it was the first movie in 9 years.
Hmm.
But watching it back, I'm like, yeah, it's a good opening, but nothing happens. They just they go they go to the sanitarium, they show Michael the mask, and it's quite dramatic when he's like, say something, and then the music comes on.
Oh yeah.
When I watched that in the cinema for the first time, I had goosebumps because
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, Michael is back. The score is back. Everything's back. So I think I had it on a higher pedestal than it should have been. I think that happens with most people. You watch a movie in the cinema, it's amazing. It's the best thing ever. But
Yeah.
then after a while, you're like, oh, it's good. Oh, do you know what? I was over exaggerating. So I think that's the same with this Halloween. Now, it's still one of the better films in the franchise,
Yes.
but the opening, I'm just like, the opening's good. It's a great return. But what actually happens? We're just getting a return of Michael Myers, the back of his head, the side of his head, some crazy people in the mental hospital, and then an introduction to the podcasters.
Yeah.
But the thing about the podcasters is, I don't know if you felt the same, but when I saw the trailer for Halloween, I thought, I'm going to hate those two with a passion. But
Hmm.
I actually really liked them. I thought they were great. I think Aaron was one of my best characters in the movie, even though he wasn't in it long. I
Yeah.
just thought there was something about him, his persona, that I thought, I'm going to like him. And he was the best part of the opening. Never mind Michael, never mind Sartain. It was Aaron that stole the show. And I think it's because of him. You'll never forget that now. Say something. You're
Mm.
always going to remember that. So good opening, but it's just nothing happens. So
Damn.
sorry.
Stop making good points. I'm gonna keep it where I got it, but you're right.
Yeah, keep your own place.
I'm not switching it, but nothing really happens. But that's fine.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go my number 9. I'm gonna go Halloween Curse of Michael Myers. Um, it's once again got the great mood and atmosphere. It's creepy. But when it comes on, you're just seeing flashes of Jamie saying, "Help me," crying and whining, and you're like, what is going on right now?" And then she just had a baby, and you're just scratching your head. Why she had a baby? What?
Yeah.
Last time she was like 8 years old, and now she's having a baby. I don't know what the hell's going on. But the thunderstorm's great. The rain, the bus station is creepy. When Michael's coming down the stairs, the lightning's flashing. The barn scene, I mean, that kill's pretty intense for sure when he throws around that farm equipment. But I don't know. I don't know. That's cool. I mean, it's cool. My Michael looks okay. I mean, he's not my
Mhm.
favorite. The spike kill on that is pretty cool, to be
Yeah.
honest. But it just doesn't really leaves you more confused, I guess, than anything else after watching that opening. You're like, I don't understand what's going on, and I'm a huge fan of the producer's cut, to be honest. I like what Lee did from Drum Dums, combined them both to make the blue cut. I like a lot of stuff from the producers, but it still doesn't change the opening. It's pretty much the same thing, except for the
Yeah.
voiceover is different. I think Dr. Loomis is one, and Paul Rudd's the other, but just doesn't really do anything for me. So number
Mm.
9, Curse of Michael Myers.
You make a good point about the rain. When I also did like the mood and atmosphere, and
Mhm.
something I do like in horror films, especially openings, is that rain. I just love the rain.
Mhm.
One of my favorite openings of all time is from Urban Legend at the beginning with the gas
Nice.
station. So the rain coming down. So I really do like the rain. See when he came out when Michael Myers came out the can't remember. I don't know what you call it. The storm
I
drain
know what
thing.
you're yeah.
And he's just you see his mask and he's coming towards her and the lightning's going. That's great. It all looks great. It's just it's story wise. That's the reason why it wasn't high up on my list. But yeah, it looked fantastic.
I mean, if I'm gonna I can't say that I watch The Curse of Michael Myers that often. I guess if I'm watching a marathon, I'll put it in, but that's not gonna be the one that I'm gonna reach
Mhm.
for to watch. But still got its place, and I don't hate it. It's just not on the top of my list. Brings us to number 8.
Number 8. Now, this is when the openings for me get really good. So the first five I mentioned didn't love, but from 8 onwards, pretty
Love.
good. So, you ready?
Yes, let's do this.
My number 8 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. That's again, it depends where you finish your
Yeah, I
opening with
guess.
this because it feels like a 40-minute opening, but that's
It
not
does.
that's not what I'm determining. My opening ends when the police come and Sherry Moon is
Okay.
crying and Michael's in the car with the police car. That's the end of the opening for me. So it felt like an extended open. See if I'll skip ahead here, but see if they ended that scene with him in the car looking at the camera, the police car, and then it goes Halloween, and then it cuts to modern day or 17
Yeah.
years later or whatever. I think shortening the movie, forgetting about all the sanitarium stuff, the movie would probably be a really good film. But because they extended all that, I thought, I'm not loving this. But for me, the opening ends when he's in that police car after he's killed his sister and her sister's boyfriend and Ronnie. Now, yes, of course, the worst part about this opening is that hick hillbilly dialogue between the whole
Oh yeah.
family. You know, it was uncalled for. I, I'm not one of these people because it says, "Oh, don't swear. You don't need to swear." I'm not like that, but
It was
there's a volume to that, if you know what I mean.
yes.
Um, so yeah, the swearing, the cursing, the way they speak to each other was stupid. But again, that grimy look could have been good without the grimy dialogue. So the kills were great. One thing that I thought was really, really creepy, and this is why I really like the opening, is when Michael puts on the mask as a
Mhm.
kid, and the mask is too big for him, and then he touches his sister's leg. I'm thinking, you're a creep. But after he does this, now I swear to God, I watched this scene 100 times. But um, when Judith walks round the corner after she's been stabbed by Michael and she's
Mhm.
bleeding and she's walking, and then you see Michael coming out from the wall with his mask on, he stops and then walks towards her, and the music goes dun dun.
Dun-dun.
I'm like, oh my God, this is good. This is going to be a good film. Turned out it wasn't great, but when he walks towards her and he's slashing her back as she's falling over, I'm like, oh my days. So I think there's some great moments in the opening to this film that could redeem the movie overall. I think the only thing I didn't like about this film was it was too long and it explained too much, but it had things in it that I thought
Mhm.
that's really good. So sorry for over explaining that, guys, but
No,
I just
I
think,
think
yeah, it was
like
good.
you said, we cut our openings off at two different places. I think
Yeah,
I do like the ending of the first act. It seems like an act because it takes forever. The end
yeah.
of the opening and that one is good. I mean, the kills are brutal. Obviously, hits him in the head with that baseball bat, and he's like twitching all over the floor.
Mhm.
I mean, the kills are brutal. Ronnie's kills crazy
Mm.
brutal.
Yeah.
It's good. I didn't even consider that, but it's just I probably just take into consideration the whole movie as a whole when I shouldn't, but I just can't. I loved it when I saw it in 2007. I just got out of college. I got out of class, went right to the movie theater to see it. Loved it. Like you said, though, you go see a movie for the first time in the theater, you're like, that was the best movie I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life.
Mhm.
And then you watch it later and you're like, yeah, it wasn't. It was fine. It was
Yeah.
good.
I was the same. When I went to see it in the cinema, I thought this is brilliant. This is almost as good as the original. That's how I felt at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And I just got out of college, straight to the cinema, and I'm like, yes, because the that Halloween was the first Halloween I saw in the cinema. So I've got that connect. Well, I had that connection. I'm like, this is the first Halloween movie I've seen at the cinema. I don't care if it's garbage. I'm going to love it, and I
Yep.
felt like I had to love it. But over the years, after the second part came out and etc., I'm like, this isn't that good. What was I thinking? So
Um,
time's a healer.
yeah. This was the second Halloween movie I saw in the theater. My first one was Resurrection. So
Ooh,
good for me.
No wonder you loved Rob Zombies. Then that was a step up.
Yeah, Resurrection. Saw it. I remember I got it on Christmas too. I bought it, the DVD for Christmas, and I was so excited. I'm sitting there watching it on Christmas, and I was like, wow, this movie sucks.
Christmas
But
movie.
the parents are like, what are you? I'm watching Halloween. Leave me alone. But that's not, I don't watch Halloween Resurrection. It's not Another one I'm not going to put in, grab off the shelf and put it in. But if it's on like I said, AMC or something, I mean, I'll leave it on for background noise in the background. But
Yeah.
other than that, not going to reach for it. My number 8, the opening. I don't know why I have it so. I'm going to switch it up again. Screw it.
Ooh.
Number 8, I'm going to put Halloween 2018.
Okay.
The movie itself, this was another one. Left the theater, absolutely loved it. Still absolutely love it. It's in my top 3. So I still absolutely love Halloween 2018. Brought Michael back after being away for a long time. We had God Over Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which does have a cult fan base. I am not in that club, but it is there. Halloween 2018 just did it. It brought back Michael. It brought back John Carpenter with the score and amazing music throughout. Like you said, the podcasters, you're very intrigued with them. Aaron's the better of the two. It would have been really cool. Obviously, they were connected, but that one like cut scene where he has the mask on in the shower, no, the girl's in the shower and he comes up with the mask on. They should have kept that in. I like that scene. Something about them. I like them. Sartain, we're kind of curious. Is this going to be a new Dr. Loomis type of deal? Is this the way we're going to go? Obviously, it changes drastically, but we didn't know that at the beginning. Michael, seeing him out in that checkerboard, whatever that field, whatever, looked pretty cool. Really cool. I've seen him chained out outside, and the intensity of Aaron yelling at Michael to say something, and then the credits just hit hard. Like that song is blasting, and like you said, goosebumps immediately when that part happened, and just being away from Michael for 9 years, that was return to form and what the franchise needed, obviously, because it made a lot of money, and so did the next two. So I think it's more of just love for the movie itself and what it meant to the Halloween franchise, but I got to put it here, number 8, Halloween 2018.
Yeah. I mean, if we ever done a list of the most artistic Halloween openings, that's probably the most artistic one. You get the checkerboard. Everything looks, and it looks stunning. It looks beautiful. So it's a really good opening. But like I said before, I just felt like nothing happened. And that was it.
Nothing did happen. Just some yelling. And a guy with an umbrella. And singing, of course. Yeah. Figaro. Good for him.
Okay.
Number 7.
Number 7. Now, this one has no right to be this high up, but I have to put it there because I have to put it there. And it's one of the worst films in the franchise, and it is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Damn.
Did you know I was going to put that there?
No, because that's where I put it too.
All right. So, yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, a garbage movie, in my opinion. A garbage film. But that opening scene, and now I'm doing the opening from when she was in the hospital right up to the very end with her waking up 2 years later or whatever. I mean, that's it. If again, Rob Zombie, it's almost like he knows how to make a Halloween film, but he decides not to do that just to piss people off. That's what it felt like. He knows the best parts of a Halloween film, and he does it so well. I enjoyed the end of the remake from 2007. I thought it was good. It was very copycat, but it was still good. But then when you look at the beginning of Halloween 2, it's almost the same. It's almost like a copy of the original Halloween 2. But it changes it up after that, and it's garbage. But the open, there's not much I can say it's bad. I've mentioned that I love opening horror movies with the rain. We get that. We get the lightning. We get some fantastic kills. In fact, we probably get like a body count of 10 or something like that at the very beginning. Yeah, it's huge. So it's got everything that you really want. You've even got an Oscar winner at the beginning with Octavia Spencer. So, yeah, I mean, it's got no right to be number 7. It should be dead last for everything, but I can't deny how good that opening is, because if the movie stayed that good, we'd be looking at one of the best Halloween films of all time. But sadly, that didn't happen. Yeah, Halloween 2 opening, fantastic.
I really wish like you said, if they would have continued on from what they started, it might have been amazing. Well, I mean, they did like at the end of it, they kind of killed Laurie within the first 10 minutes of that movie, if it goes that way. But like you said, brutal. a lot of kills for 10-minute opening maybe,
Yeah.
and you get so many dead bodies. The old lady with her like eyeballs ripped out, like hanging on the stairwell. Octavia Spencer with might be one of the most brutal deaths in the entire franchise with
Mhm.
the aggression that Michael gives to her. But then the movie changed, and it didn't change. I know people do like this movie, and I respect all of your opinions if you do. It's just I gave it a shot. I gave it multiple chances to rewatch it, and I just don't like the movie. I get it. It's a very artistic version of Halloween, I guess. But it screams Rob Zombie, and I'm not a huge Rob Zombie guy. I don't really like a lot of his movies, except for a couple. So it doesn't really work for me. But the opening, the hospital stuff that you think you're getting a replay of the original H2, we don't. But it's brutal. The kills are great. Michael looks good. You're invested in Laurie. Can't say that so much as the movie goes along that I could give a shit about Laurie. It's more you care about Annie towards as this movie goes
Yeah.
along. But I can't take it away. The opening was great.
Yeah.
The rain.
One thing you can't deny is Scout Taylor Compton's acting as Laurie at the beginning. Fantastic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, her acting is good throughout, I guess, but it's just not the Laurie that I want to see. I don't want to see
Mhm.
the yelling and screaming and hating everyone and partying. I
Yeah.
don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Works for others. I respect it.
Mhm.
But opening's good and can't take that away from it. So, what are we up to? Number 6?
6, yeah.
Yeah,
You ready for this?
yeah.
My number 6 is the opening to Halloween H2O. 20 years.
Whoa.
I have to be honest. Sorry.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, again from number 8 onwards, I love the opening to all these movies anyway. So yeah, so number 6 is Halloween H2O. Now it's one of those triumphant returns
Mm-hmm.
for Laurie Strode. I still am a massive fan of late 90s teen slasher movies.
Yeah.
So get into Halloween H2O. I immediately loved it. As soon as I saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the screen, all these people that I recognized, I even see Marion as well. When I watched this movie, I didn't see the trailer. So when I saw Marion, I'm like, she looks familiar.
Mm,
And then it clicked after the movie that she was marrying the nurse. So I didn't even know that until after I read about it. So the opening was great. It had returning characters. It had new, cool, hip actors like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And it's just something about it that, again, people hate this, but I love it. It felt like Scream. I know what you
yeah.
did last summer, The Faculty. I
Yep.
love that. So I'm not going to take that away. Now, when you see people saying, I don't like Halloween H2O because it felt like a late 90s slasher movie, I'm like, well, it is a late 90s
It
slasher movie.
was.
So you can't really take that away. That's like saying, I don't like Halloween from 1978 because it felt like a movie from the late
Looks like
70s.
70s.
Yeah, of course. So these movies are going to feel like part of their time because
Yeah.
that's when they were made. But the difference is Halloween H2O has aged well. I think it's aged perfectly. The actors in the movie have all went on to do big things.
Yep.
So I don't know who the casting director was for Halloween H2O, but they need an award because the Michelle Williams,
Nailed it.
Josh Hartnett, Adam Arkin, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jamie Lee Curtis is back. You know, you've got all these massive stars. LL Cool J, who's great in the movie.
Yeah, it is.
All these people, they've brought them into one film, similar to The Faculty. The casting is fantastic. And even to the small roles in the movie, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing Jimmy, is great. Some of the kill scenes at the beginning was fantastic with the ice skate in the face. Although you don't see it, you see the aftermath of it, and that's what we see with Michael Myers in the original. That's why I love H2O, because it feels like the original. You see the aftermath of kills. Michael looks round about the same height as he was in the original. He moves like the original. I love H2O, but again, it's not one of my favorite openings because, well, I can't really say because the next 5 after that, I'll explain why. But great opening, feels good. It felt, even though it wasn't set in Haddonfield, it was set in Langdon, Illinois. It still had that autumn feel to it. See when Michael drives away in Marion's car,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hear the music going dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun.
I'm like, oh, this is great. And even with the opening, I'm doing the opening to the opening titles in
Mhm.
H2O. So after he leaves and the police officers come and they're talking about Michael Myers, I'm still like, oh my god, they're talking about my favorite character. This is great. And then you see the pictures on the wall, and then the score comes on. Although some people don't like that score, I love
I
that
do.
score. I love the orchestral score because it felt like a grand finale, and
Mhm.
that's what that was to me. So just hearing the score come on for the first time in years, Jamie Lee Curtis's name is on there, and even though it's not Donald Pleasance's voice, you still
Sorry.
hear a Dr. Loomis's monologue, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm in for a great ride here. Brilliant. So again, you've probably noticed that I'm talking about H2O too much because
Mhm.
I absolutely love it. So yeah, number 6. I wanted it to be higher, but it's number 6. Good enough.
I'll do it justice for you because I have it up higher than 6. So
Good, good.
we'll get there. My number 6 is gonna be Halloween Ends, the
Okay.
new kid on the block. Michael's not in the opening, obviously. We get Corey, who I love very much. I'm a huge Halloween Ends guy. I mean, I get the hate, but I don't get the hate for the
Yeah.
movie itself. But this is another one of those things that we don't really know what we're in for. We don't know what's going on because Michael's not there. This is a kid, we have no idea who it is. But the shock value of what happens at the beginning of this opening, I didn't think they were gonna kill the. I didn't think that little kid was gonna die, and obviously it was an accident that messed up Corey's trajectory of his life. Obviously from then on, but when he's kicking that door, I'm like, no way they're gonna do this shit. And then the parents pull up, and I'm like, no, they're not gonna. And they're just walking forward, and then you slam, and his head breaks back, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I didn't expect him to do that. And then he's holding the knife at the top of the thing, and I'm like, where's this movie gonna go? But and then the score kicks in. Love it. Love the Halloween 3 lettering that they have in the opening of this movie. The soundtrack's back again. Kick-ass as always with John Carpenter in company. I think it would be higher if we knew what was going to happen a little bit. Maybe we knew who Corey was. I might put this up a little bit more because we'd be like, oh shit, that's that Corey dude from like Halloween Kills. I remember him. We just didn't know. So I mean, and I give him props because he could have drank that beer and he was drinking chocolate milk. So good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him with that yoo-hoo. Halloween Ends is an amazing movie, but the opening for me isn't as high as some others, but I do enjoy the opening. So Halloween Ends, number 6.
Right. We good? Okay. Hold on. I'm just going to take a little drink. I don't know if you noticed what I'm drinking. I've said this before to people. This is Iron Brew. Do you know what Iron Brew is?
No, I do not.
Okay. I told Braden Timmons this fun fact, and I'll tell you the fun fact as well. Coca-Cola is the highest selling soft drink in every country in the world,
Mm-hmm.
apart from Scotland, where I'm from. It's Iron Brew.
Brew.
It's made in
Interesting.
it's made in Scotland.
Well, of course, then.
There you go. Fun fact.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I'm not a Coke guy myself, but
you
I
might
kind
be
of
an Iron
figured
Brew
it.
guy. So my number 5
Here we go.
is Halloween Ends.
Okay.
So quite similar. So similar to the reasons you mentioned. Um, didn't know what we we're getting in for. Now I know that Jamie Lee Curtis said that if you're a parent, then the beginning of Halloween Ends would be hard to watch. So I was expecting something to happen with a kid because
Uh-huh.
she said that. So when I saw him babysitting the kid, I'm like, Michael's going to kill this kid. That's what I was thinking. Michael's going to kill this kid. Obviously, it didn't, and he died in a worse fashion than I
Oh
thought he
god.
would. But what I loved about this one compared to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is Halloween 3, I didn't know what was happening, and it didn't have Michael Myers. But with Halloween Ends, I didn't know what was happening. But at the same time, we know that Michael Myers exists. We
Yeah.
know that Michael Myers is missing. So the dread and the thought of Michael Myers coming was enough to put you on the edge of your seat. But at the same time, they speak about Michael at the beginning. The little boy's scared of Michael Myers. He doesn't know where Michael Myers is. So the parents are trying to comfort him. So it felt realistic. It felt like if we had a serial killer in our neighborhood, we would
Hmm.
feel on edge, similar to that family. So it felt like a really realistic story. It felt like Season of the Witch because it was different, but at the same time, we're in the Michael Myers universe. So I think it was a fantastic opening because everything about it was great. The mood, the atmosphere, the story, the acting, the introduction to Corey Cunningham,
Beautiful.
unbelievable. So yeah, and it top it off with that body falling.
Oh my
You're
God.
just like, holy shit. Yeah, and everything you said as well. So yeah, the opening, although it's only number 5, onwards they're all great, and it's hard to choose. But the opening to Halloween Ends is great.
So now that we got Halloween Ends out of the way, I'm assuming you're a fan of Halloween Ends as well, even though a lot of people do not like that movie.
Every time I watch it, it gets better and better. So
Thank you.
absolutely love it. It's so different. It's so unique. It's not Michael Myers stabby, stabby, stabby end of story. That's not what this is about. If that's what you want, fair enough. But if you want a Halloween story and not a Michael Myers story, then you'll love Halloween Ends. But if you're only in it to see Michael Myers killing people,
Not
it's
gonna like
maybe
it.
not for you. Maybe watch like Curse of Michael Myers or something. But yeah, if you're in it for the Halloween, then what a film. Great
I,
film.
I mean, maybe we could have, but they didn't know what they wanted to do. We could have had Corey Cunningham maybe in Halloween 2018,
Mhm.
Halloween Kills, just for a little bit, not like a main character or anything. Then I think a lot of people would have changed their tune a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they wanted the Laurie showdown with Michael. We got that like 25 times. I think we've seen it already. I don't know why we wanted to see it again. Um, but they did. I mean, I can see why people didn't want it because it was marketed as one thing. We got another thing. I can see why that kind of irked people a little bit. But overall, it's a very well made movie in my opinion. It
Yeah.
looks great. The story with Corey is just draws you in. I mean, maybe even more than Michael did. So I don't get the hate for it. I don't get it.
It's
But
just different. People
that's
don't
why.
want change.
And they might get changed when they make a new one here pretty soon or shortly. So, and then they won't like that one, and then they'll forget about Ends and be like, "Oh, Ends was pretty good
Yeah.
after all."
That's how it works, really. Yeah.
It does. It does. My number 5 is gonna be Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. Yeah, we get Michael Myers back after Halloween 3, obviously, because people didn't like it, so they had to bring Michael back. And what better way to bring him back than transfer him on Halloween, like every other movie on this list? It happened. It was the first time, though, right? No, never mind. The original film they transferred him on Halloween, or tried to the day before.
Mhm.
But I love it. I love the opening shots of. We don't get the Halloween theme. We just get that like autumn, like ominous tone music throughout the beginning. The farm equipment, the landscape, screaming Halloween, screaming October. Atmosphere might be the best in this movie. The transfer scene, the mental institution, creepy, scary. The security guard, he's like, Jesus ain't got nothing to do with this place. You know where Michael is, and he's in the basement because that's where you keep people in a mental institution, the basement. Yes, he doesn't. He shouldn't have eyes. We get it. We get it. He shouldn't. He does. They're in there. The mask, people hate it. I like it. I don't know why I like it, but I do. He had to get a new one, and he got it from a rinky-dink pharmacy. So I mean, it's kind of good enough reason why it looks that way.
Yeah.
But the transfer scene, talking about his niece, the ambulance crash after he puts his thumb into his head, which is amazing. Get to see Jamie Lloyd on the couch, and then she sees the ambulance outside or not the ambulance, yeah, the ambulance outside.
Yeah.
It works once again. Rain, thunderstorm. It works. It works in these openings, and they should probably put them in a lot more of them. But Halloween 4 for me, number 5.
Good choice. Good choice. So, number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the original Halloween 2 from 1981. So, yeah, number 4 because, hold on. Yeah, number 4 because it's a great continuation of the same night from 1978. It's obviously
Mhm.
supposed to be set in 1978, and it still felt like 1978. It felt like it was still a John Carpenter movie, even though we know it's not. But it was like a seamless transition between what happened at the end of Halloween 1 leading on to Halloween 2. So that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love it. I just love the way that Michael stalks at the beginning of this movie as well. Like he goes to the Elrods, he's got the girl next door. I can't remember her name, the girl on the phone. Um, what's her name? Don't know.
Watched it a million times. Still don't know.
Let's call her Jane. So he goes to her house, and then he goes to the Elrods. Just the way you see it, but you also see what happened in part 1 from different angles, which is quite cool. Where you've got him going down the lane, and you can see Loomis in the background saying, "I
Mhm.
shot him 6 times," and you're like, "Oh, that's cool! Like we're seeing it from a different view, a different angle. That's really good." Um, and then it flips around to Loomis going to the front door of other people's houses, saying, "Look, I shot him 6 times," and people are like, "What are you talking about?" So I just love seeing the different angles of the same scene
Mhm.
that's filmed 3 years apart. It was very well made. So I don't know how Rick Rosenthal can go from directing Halloween 2 to Halloween Resurrection, but he did. Um, so yeah, so the opening to Halloween 2 is it's the closest. No, it's not. I was going
No.
to say it's the closest you're going to get, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah, great opening. I've said too much.
Um. Yeah. It's a. And my number 4 is Halloween 2 as well.
Yeah,
Um. It's good. You get the recap again, just like Friday the 13th would do. Of the first one. You get to see, Michael walking right up that nice ramp off the balcony. He doesn't. It doesn't trip him up at all. He just walks backwards right over it. It's great. It doesn't matter. He left that nice imprint on the ground. That's pretty realistic, I guess.
hmm
Not really though, but it's fine. And then he's losing. It's like this too. Dr. Loomis running around frantic, obviously, like you said, telling people, tell him I shot him, tell him he's still on the loose. And the theme song kicks in. I think that's when we get the pumpkin, right? With the skull inside instead of
yeah, no.
the other one. It looks really cool. And then it opens up. Michael's walking down the alley. See him, hear him breathing. It's so dark, and it looks like a perfect continuation of Halloween 78. Like you said, Rick Rosenthal did that, and then Resurrection. I'm assuming he probably had the talent, but the studio made them do what they wanted to do, and that's
Yeah,
why we
that's
got so much
yeah.
Busta Rhymes every 5 minutes, saying corny things, doing corny things. That's why we got it. So
Mhm.
I feel bad for him on that one. But this one, he did good. I mean, I'm sure he had help from Carpenter, even though Carpenter didn't want to do this. Um, uh, it's the mask is fine, obviously, but that shot when he goes to the Elrod's house and she's making him you want mayonnaise or mustard, and then they just zoom and he's standing back there. He looks really, really, really good in that shot right there. And I'm surprised he didn't kill that old lady. He must have liked what kind of sandwich she was making, because the Michael that we got in 2018, he wasn't a fan of that sandwich, and he killed that lady. So good for her. I think her name's Alice. I
The
think Alice.
girl,
I think, yeah. I want
right?
to say. Then he hops up behind the chair with the stinger. Stab.
Yeah, that
It's
was
good. It's
nuts.
good.
Mhm.
It's a really good opening. It flows so nicely from 78. Gotta go with it. Number 4, Halloween 2.
Nice. Top 3 now.
Here we go.
This is where it gets into the big business.
Oh yeah.
So my number 3 is it's Halloween 4, the return
Okay.
of Michael Myers. Yeah. So like you said as well, I'm going from the opening with the farm, and then right through to when the the ambulance
Hmm.
stops outside Jamie's house. So that's the kind of opening for me. But yeah, it's not your typical Halloween opening from what we got before. You get the pumpkin and stuff like that, and the title tracks and stuff. You don't get that in Halloween 4. It's all part of the scenery in
Hmm.
this one, which is different. And I thought I wouldn't like it, but I love it. Um, it's is the most atmospheric Halloween film. It's got it to be. I just love like you said, you see like the decorations on the farm, the truck, the barn, and it goes so like the sound of
Oh
the
yeah.
the wind and stuff. It's so good. It kind of builds you up for what you're about to watch.
Mm.
Um, After that scene, though, you've got the paramedics that are going to get Michael Myers when they stick when he sticks the thumb in the head. Everything felt great. You know, that's maybe what the 2018 Halloween film was missing. You've got the podcasters that go to the sanitarium, but nothing happens. Whereas in this one, you've got
Yeah.
the paramedics that go to the sanitarium and they get killed. So if something happened in 2018, maybe that would have been higher. So I think this felt like a similar vibe to the 2018 movie, except something happens in it. And then,
Something happened.
yeah, exactly. But we're introduced to Jamie as well. And straight away, we find out who she is because she looks at a picture of her mum. So we're like, ah, that's Laurie's daughter. So we're introduced to her as a character. We see that she's scared. You've got the rain at the opening, and you've got the ambulance sitting outside, and then she's having visions of Michael. She's dreaming of Michael Myers. So many things happen in the open to Halloween 4. And when you put it all together, it's great. You've got the wind at the beginning with the farm, you've got the rain with Jamie, etc., etc. You've got a couple of kills in it as well. So yeah, what a great opening. At one point, this was my favorite opening in the whole franchise,
Mhm.
but it slid down after I've watched it many times and other entries have came out. But it's still one of the best openings for sure.
I think I think the decision to move to Utah to do filming was a very good choice. The environment there screams Midwest Halloween, obviously a lot more compared to California, which the first one, and I'm assuming the second one did as well. I'm in the
Mhm.
third one. So it definitely screamed Halloween a lot more. And Halloween 5 was in Utah as well, I think, right?
Don't
Or
know.
6. I know 6 was. Um, Definitely more Midwest feel, and like you said, it works really well.
Yeah.
For Halloween 4 for me is probably one of the Halloween movies I watch the most. Usually a go-to if I'm in the mood to watch a Halloween movie. I don't want to spoil Halloween 78 and watch that one too much. I mean, it kind of takes away from how special that movie really is. So, um, usually go for Halloween 4, but that is a good pick. My Halloween 3 is Halloween H2O. So,
Okay.
surprised I
Mhm.
have it higher than you, but that's okay. I know it's your
That's
jam.
okay.
It's good. I mean, the lady carving the pumpkin right off the bat, Mr. Sandman hits.
Hmm.
You know you're watching a Halloween movie. It isn't Haddonfield, but who cares? It looks similar. It's close enough. It's in Illinois. They got leaves. They got Halloween trick or treaters. We got decorations, and people say this movie doesn't have any Halloween vibe. It has plenty,
Yeah.
just not when they get to the school. But that's okay. They're going to Yosemite. They don't got time for Halloween. So and then we get the Halloween 6 mask, obviously, in Michael in this opening, and then they switch it. But it looks really good. They keep it in the dark. It looks a little different than Halloween 6 to me. It looks more closely to the 78 mask when it's in the dark.
Yeah.
He's chasing her. She's putting up a fight. That opening's so creepy whenever she's locking the front door, and then behind him, he's standing right back there. That's what Michael did in 78. That's the stuff that Michael would do. But he's not my Michael. He walks weird. He jumps and hops and he's a cat. And I was like, I don't understand. He's supposed to be like a cat. You don't know they're there. They're silent. They move gracefully. I don't know. I don't know what more you want. Chris Durand, I thought did a great job. I always am a defender of Chris Durand's performance. It isn't his fault, the mask situation. He had nothing to do with it at
Mhm.
all. It wasn't his choice. He's in, and so what? It looked like Scream. Scream was a big deal in that time, obviously. It came out in 96. I love Scream. If somebody movie wants to be Scream, go right ahead. Scream is a classic of the horror genre. And that, like you said before, that is the late 90s all had similar slashers. So, of course, Halloween was going to flow into that kind of type of slasher movie. And it worked. The cast is amazing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love the guy. He gets the skate in his face, like you said. They didn't show it. So what? They killed Annie in the car. You didn't really see it. It was fogged up. So there's really no difference. in the kills. There wasn't that many kills. Well, there wasn't that many kills in the original Halloween either. So the hate is just not justified for me personally. But if you don't like it, that's fine. It's fine. But the opening's cool. I love all the kills. I love Marion getting her throat slit, which is so Myers like go to. I like that a lot. They're investigating the one. Looks like we hit the daily double here. Then the freaking car pulls out and the dun dun music plays. Fantastic. The voiceover work. It isn't. When I watched it the first time, I didn't know it wasn't Donald Pleasance. I only knew that because other people said that's not Donald Pleasance, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't tell me.
Yeah, same.
But they show all the pictures. They look great. You get the scissors like from Halloween 5, but not really Halloween 5. But it's cool, and the music, like you said, it's supposed to be the finale. This is it. There are no more. Of course, it's going to be amped up, a little different than Carpenter's. I dig it, and I always will dig Halloween H2O. So number 3, H2O.
Do you remember the address in the movie at the start?
Oh shit! I can pick. He's on the phone. He's calling the cops, and he's. Fuck! I should know that. I don't know.
It's the only reason I remember it is because when the police go to the next door, when she's fighting Michael Myers, I heard one of the police officers saying 4946 Cypress Pond.
Cypress Pond.
Yeah, I always remember that scene. I'm like, oh, Cypress Pond. Yeah.
As you were talking, I was like, it's Cypress Pond. I just don't know the number part.
Yeah.
You watch it a lot.
One thing I really liked about H2O as well is Halloween came out in 78 and then Scream came out in 96. And Scream, Wes Craven, all of them said, we pay tribute to Halloween because if it wasn't for Halloween, there would be no Scream, which is perfect. Mm-hmm. And then when Halloween H2O came out, it's almost like they're repaying the favor. They're like, if it wasn't for Scream, there would be no more Halloween at the cinema because nobody's interested in slasher movies anymore. Halloween 7, before it was called H2O, was going to go direct to VHS. That's how bad they got. So if it wasn't for Scream, there would be no future Halloween films at the cinema. Probably not even the David Gordon Green trilogy, because at the time, Halloween H2O was the highest grossing Halloween movie. So they're scratching each other's backs. Without Halloween, there's no Scream. Without Scream, there's no H2O. Without Scream, there's no future Halloween films. So although it still feels like it's copying Scream, I don't care. Because without Scream, we would have no more Halloween. That's the way I see it.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Top 2.
Top 2.
Is it going to be obvious? Let's see.
I don't know. I think maybe we've got the same top 2.
We do.
And number 2 is Halloween Kills.
Okay.
Halloween Kills. Now, the film's not perfect. It's not one of my favorite films in the franchise, but I'm sure I've not met anyone who doesn't like that flashback scene. That flashback scene is incredible. I went to see it at the cinema. In fact, I went to see it in Manchester in England because I was going to a horror convention the next day. So I went with like 8 Halloween fans and we all went in the cinema. Loads of people were dressed up as Michael Myers. And it's just, I had that great feeling when I was watching it. Now, some of the people I went with didn't really like the movie, but I still really liked it. Even to this day, I still like it. But that opening scene, I remember we were all looking at each other like, this is incredible. This looks like 1978. I can't believe what they were able to do. And this looks and feels even better than 1981's Halloween 2. That's how amazing it was. I mean, they still used the same cameras back then, the same mask, but in this one, it's just something that felt so original. It took me back to watching the original Halloween for the first time. That's what it felt like. But again, like I said with the Halloween 2, I was almost watching it from a different angle. I'm watching Michael go from one side of the building to the other. Where did they go after they disappeared? Now, there's some things that didn't need to be explained, but they did. But at the same time, what I was watching was almost, I don't want to overdo it here, but it looked like a masterpiece, the way they done it. Because see that scene with Lonnie when he trips up
Oh
and
yeah.
he sits up and you see Michael walking towards him like, I'm like, this looks, honestly, I'm just like, this is amazing. Obviously, the movie didn't end up being that good at the
No.
end, but the opening scene, I'm just like, oh, I'm completely blown away by this. And even when you see Dr. Loomis again, you're like, wow, this guy's in prosthetics, no
Pretty close.
CGI, and it's Loomis. It doesn't sound anything like Dr. Loomis, but I'm just like, I'm looking at Dr. Loomis. I'm looking at the original Michael Myers mask. I'm looking at the house from 1978. I'm seeing the back streets of Haddonfield with Michael Myers getting chased by the police. This is a dream come true. And it was for not just Michael Myers fans, but Halloween fans. It was almost a dream come true to watch something like that on the big screen. I'd love to see a full length movie of
Oh
a
my gosh.
flashback. How good would that be? But yeah, I'm basing my opening on this flashback. Nothing just like, I know that you get Cameron. Was Cameron before it where he sees Sheriff?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
He
And
was
then it goes to
the
the
very beginning.
yeah, I don't really count that as the opening. The opening for me is that 11 or so minutes, and then you see Michael getting stopped by the police, and it zooms out, and then you see Dr. Loomis coming out of the house, and you see Michael Myers just standing there, and all the police are holding their guns. Done. And I'm like, if you ended the movie there, I'd be satisfied. Yep. Thank you. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is Halloween 78.
That's
Give me
okay.
a second. I had to switch it up. The movie's better, obviously, but the opening, it's classic, obviously. We get the Carpenter score for the first time ever. Amazing. Obviously, we've heard before the test audiences didn't get the score within the movie, and it just didn't hit the same way. They added it. Amazing. Obviously, we see the typical slasher stuff. The eyes, first person point of view of the killer, all that stuff. Seeing the girlfriend and the boyfriend going upstairs for about 1 second of lovemaking, which he's really mad, obviously. It's first time it happens, I guess. You don't know. You see the drawer open, the knife come out. We don't know what's going on. We got the hands really small, so we're like, that's either a kid or a really small girl. Walk upstairs. Conveniently, there's a clown mask on the floor. Walks in, kills Judith right there. And you're like, gotta be what's this gonna be? Walks down the stairs out the door. Take the mask off. We get the freaking tableau, or it zooms back. It's just a little kid did all this, and it's just a shot in time. They're frozen still. Parents don't know what the hell's going on. The kid looks adorable, and that kid killed. Luckily the boyfriend left because he didn't want to stick around because he got other things to do. Good choice. But Sandy Johnson was great for what she was in. But it's just classic. I mean, I can't really. I mean, even the drive. I don't know if this counts as the opening, but I'll put it in here anyway. The drive with Loomis and Marion just discussing. Shouldn't we refer to it as him? If you wish.
Yeah.
Like, what are they? Then the creepiest thing right there is whenever the inmates are walking around outside in the sheets. You're like, holy shit, man. Then what? Michael jumps up. Love it. Wrench in the hand. Don't matter to me. He didn't make that mistake in Halloween Kills, I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's just a classic. I wanted to. Everybody probably has it at number 1, which obviously you do, and a lot of other people do as well. But there's just one that I just gets me going a little bit more.
Mhm.
Halloween 78, number 2.
Good choice. Good choice. So my number 1 is Halloween
Whoa.
1978. Yeah. So again, everything you've just said is what I would suggest to say as well. But when I watched this movie, when I first took it in, when I was understanding what I was watching, I swear I didn't know that it was a child that was doing the killing at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So when I seen the masking on, you got to remember when I watched this film, I watched it on VHS on a 24-inch TV. So it was small. It was kind of blurry. So I didn't notice it was a child's hand that I was looking at. So when I was looking at it, like, oh, is this going to be like a really like a killer, etc.? I didn't know what to expect. And then when when he came out and he pulled the mask off, I was literally like, huh? It's a kid? Oh my God, that's weird. But even watching it now, I'm like, that's quite sick. I don't know if they would do that anymore in films because it's obviously people are soft. But
Yeah.
watching that back then, I'm like, wow, that's ballsy to do something like that. I think everyone knows the story of how they shot it. You know, what you call him? What you call him? John Carpenter. He was given that Panavision camera, and Halloween was the very first movie to use the widescreen Panavision camera, and
Mhm.
that was what they blew most of the budget on. So he wanted it to work. He needed it to work. And when they showed you the shots of the house, the one,
Mhm.
the one shot, it was great. Obviously, they done a break in the shot when Michael put the clown mask on. They cut and then started filming again after that. But it was
Mhm.
seamless though. It looked great when Michael's going around the side of the house. You see Judith and her boyfriend, and then you see Michael going around the house, open up the door into the kitchen, up the stairs, seeing Judith sitting there naked. That was great. And then killing her with the score. Like you said, they added that later on with um, the test audience. So it just came together. And I think we all know it's a classic movie. So when you watch it, you expect greatness.
Yeah.
But there's something about it that as soon as you press play, it takes me back to when I first loved the Halloween franchise. And I'll never forget that feeling, that nostalgic feeling. When you watch a film from 1978, well, when I watched a film from 1978, I expect it to be bad and dated. And nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, to be honest, films from that era are bad and dated. But I think Halloween is timeless.
It is.
And when I watch it, I'm like, this doesn't feel like a movie that's 45 years old. It feels like a brand new film still. It does things that movies to do today and fail.
Okay.
And uh, there's nothing. The only bad thing I can say about Halloween is the acting in the movie overall is pretty shite, rubbish. Apart from Loomis, but everyone else
Yeah.
is terrible. But take the acting aside, this is an absolute masterpiece in filmmaking. The score, the cinematography, everything about this film is just incredible. So I had to put it at number one. It might slip down eventually. Sometimes I've got a Halloween 4 vibe. Sometimes I've got a Halloween Kills vibe. But this moment in time, it's the original. So number one.
And also, today's the day, right? Today is the birthday of Halloween, correct? The 45th anniversary is today.
Yep.
So
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday, Halloween, which huge part of the channel, obviously huge part of Wolfman's channel. Halloween is a comfort more than anything, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of slasher flicks, there's a lot of horror movies, but I always go back to Halloween. There's just something about it makes me feel good inside, as sick as that is, to watch a dude in a mask kill people. But there's something about it just really takes you back to when I was young and watching them on TV with like my brother and stuff. So I definitely always have loved Halloween. But my number one, Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
The movie itself is in the middle of my ranking, but the opening, I'm going to take this even further and go to the firefighter part, even though that might not be the opening, but it's all amazing. The flashback, some of the best Halloween stuff ever, really, ever. With all the movies, that one 10, 15-minute flashback, some of the best Halloween stuff we ever got. Like you said, I really hope they make a movie of just that. Just try to recreate all that again because they did a great job in that little section. I want to see a whole movie like that. Really brought Michael back to who he was in '78 for sure. The deleted scenes even added that even more as he's walking through like into the wall, and then Lonnie goes and looks and he's not there. It works. He's Loomis, unbelievable. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It worked. He was great. It didn't, when they zoomed in a little bit, you're like, but it looked pretty damn close. Pretty close. The tableau shot they did there, kind of like in '78, they zoom back, all the cops, beautiful. And of course, I'm extending mine farther. Firefighter scene, one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise. So good. Cinematography on that scene is great. Michael is a badass. You wanted to know how he survived the fire? There he stayed in a gun safe because he's smart. He's not just a dumb killer. He's smart. He knows how to survive. Took out that firefighters with no problem at all in some pretty badass ways. I could probably just watch the beginning 25 minutes of this movie and then probably just shut it off. But it's amazing opening with Michael doing amazing things in 78 and in real time. Had to put it at number one, as probably a lot of people don't agree, but that's okay because it's my list and yours is different, and I would love to hear it. So leave it down below. But that is our list of Halloween openings from worst to best, and honestly, we weren't that far apart.
We weren't at all. I think the biggest difference we had was Rob Zombie's Halloween, and that was it. Everything else was kind of within one or two of each other, I'm sure.
And no, we did not meet up ahead of time and be like, hey man, let's have our list pretty close together. No, that's what it was. I kind of figured we have similar opinions. Obviously, I watch your channel a lot, and you love Halloween H2O. You're a fan of Ends. I'm a fan of both those a lot, so I kind of figured we would kind of have similar lists. So I'm glad that I mean, it's good to differ, but then it's good to agree sometimes as well. We don't need to always be in debates for sure.
It's good either way. But on your list of your 13, is there any that surprised you for yourself when you looked at your own list and think, oh, that's lower or higher than I thought it would be?
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not a movie I really like anything of. So once I started this list and I was like, wait a minute, that's a pretty cool hospital opening. That's actually not that bad compared to the rest of the movie. So I would probably go Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Everything else kind of where I thought it would be, really.
I genuinely Resurrection. I genuinely never thought I would have Halloween Kills at number 2. I never thought about it. Like, I always imagined Halloween Kills being maybe 5th or 6th. But breaking it down to the opening, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I love the opening. And then I kept pushing up and up and up. And then I got to second and third spot. I was looking at Kills and Halloween 4. I'm like, oh, I love 4, but more happens in Kills. So it just kind of went higher up. So I was just like, do you know what? Kills is a phenomenal opening. So that was the one that surprised me the most. Halloween 2 as well. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is higher up than I thought it would be. But I always remembered liking the opening to Halloween 2. So I knew it would be higher up than the normal rankings for his movies. But yeah, Kills was the biggest surprise for me.
Obviously, I'm assuming your number one in the franchise overall is Halloween 78, like it is in most people's rankings. But what would your number 2 favorite movie be in your ranking?
H2O.
Really? Still, I knew you're a huge fan. I didn't know if it shifted all with the new trilogy or not.
Nah, I tried to shift it. I watched the new trilogy a few times, and I just go back to Laurie's story in H2O, and it just feels so realistic. And I know that at the time when the movie came out, I was old enough to remember this. She loved it. She's like, oh, this is the best. Halloween H2O is the best, blah, blah, blah. And then after Resurrection and after the rest of the movies, I think she genuinely forgot what Resurrection and H2O was. I think she was getting them mixed up. But she's like, I hated H2O. It's the worst movie in the franchise. Let's do it again for 2018. So, yeah, I think she genuinely did like it, but she forgot that she liked it. So...
it's good. It's in my might have actually it wasn't my top 5 for a while. Might have got bumped out. My number 2 is Halloween Ends because I don't know, something about it. I just love it. Didn't realize I watched that movie about 9 times this past year, which is a lot of time to watch one movie. But I don't know, something about it's just different. It's Halloween, but not Halloween. If you get Michael in it, but you also get another really cool storyline that you didn't have ever before. So it has a lot to like. So I always have it's gonna sound crazy, but I had Halloween Ends at number 1 after I saw it in the theater, and then I let that linger for a little bit, and I was like, that just doesn't seem right. We'll go back to number 2. But it's good. I really love Halloween Ends, and I'm glad that there are people out there that do appreciate it and enjoy it for what it is. And the people that don't, I get it. Maybe you'll come around to it eventually, like people did for Halloween 3. I see that happening eventually. but we'll see. Either way, there's a lot of Halloween movies. If you don't like one, go watch another one because there's 13 of them. So you're gonna find one you enjoy. So no reason to hate on people for liking other ones. That's what I
Yeah,
always say.
exactly. I mean, I don't like 5, Resurrection, or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. That's the 3 movies that I actually hate in the franchise. The rest of them I watch all the time. But those 3, I know there's going to be fans of those 3 movies,
Mhm.
especially Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think that's getting a bit of a following now. But if somebody says to me, I absolutely love Resurrection, I'm like, that's fine, because I absolutely love H2O. And I know that people hate H2O. So
Yeah,
I understand there's not everyone loves every movie in the franchise. There's some people that don't even like the original. Not that many, but there's some
yeah,
people that
there are
don't like the
some.
original. Yeah. But I'm like, do you know what? I can like I would imagine people that are 12, 13 years old watching the original going, that looks
Eh,
rubbish. I'm not watching that. So I completely understand. I won't watch a film from 1952 because that's not my type of film. So I can see
me,
people
yeah,
in these days not wanting to watch the original. Completely understand because it's just not their type of movie. So
I get
everyone's
it.
different. I think that's why I love H2O because I was 15 when I watched H2O. I was in my prime of watching horror movies. I'm like, oh, I need to watch all these horrors because I'm old enough now.
Yeah,
And that teen slasher phase was the greatest era for me, and it still is because of my nostalgic love for it. H2O, The Faculty, I know what you did last summer. I still know Urban Legend, Soul Survivors, Cherry Falls, all those movies. I'm like, they're all mine. I love them all. So they're
Cherry Falls.
they have their flaws, but I still love them.
Cherry Falls used to be on like USA all the time back in the day. That's where I used to watch it at.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly I like H2O, but if I had to pick any of those movies, I'd probably go with The Faculty. I really love The Faculty a lot. I think I might actually pick that one over H2O if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. The
It's
Faculty is one of the well, for me, it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
so good.
Yeah. It
Once
still
again,
is. It's
another great cast. Like they knew what they were doing back in
yeah.
the late 90s when they were casting these movies.
Yeah. The cast for The Faculty, I don't think I've seen a movie with such a great cast that as big as The Faculty. I can't think of any.
We had what? Elijah Wood, Jordana Brewster, we had Usher, Josh Hartnett. We had I don't know her name, but the girl from The Craft and a bunch of other things. I can't think of her name.
Who?
What was her name? Stokely. Is that her name?
Oh, Claire Duval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a good man.
You get Patrick. You get Robert Patrick, John Stewart,
T1000.
Salma
Man.
Hayek,
Oh my
Famke
god.
Janssen, BB Newworth. You've got
The-
Dwayne Martin from Halloween, from Scream 2, the Kenny, the cameraman Joe. You've got, what'd you call her? Oh, Laura, the baddie, the
oh,
Queen Alien. Her, Robert Rodriguez's sister's in it. You've got Summer Phoenix, who's the sister of Joaquin Phoenix and River Phoenix.
damn.
You get John Abrams, who's in Scary Movie. All the side characters are all big stars. You've even got Danny Masterton. All these people in this film, I'm just like, wow, such a massive cast. Obviously, Sean Hatose as well, who plays Stan. I could
What was
go
the
on.
budget? Must have been crazy for that movie.
I think
It
the
looked
budget
good
was
too.
only like, I think it was 18 million or something.
Damn. It was a
But
good movie.
today, if you got that cast today,
Oh my god.
you'd be looking at $100 million movie, easy, just for the stars.
Damn. Chris
Such a
Baber
good.
says I've never seen it. Well, go
Who?
check it out.
What?
'Cause
Oh
it's
yeah,
good.
Piper Laurie. Jamie said Piper Laurie as well. Rest in peace. She just died a few days ago.
Aw. Damn. Go see it, Chris. You won't regret seeing The Faculty. I tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'm doing
Really
I'm doing an anniversary edition review for that in December. So
nice.
25th anniversary.
I'm surprised we're not getting a freaking special 4K steelbook of that bad boy, unless we are and I don't know about it.
Nah, we won't. It's kind of like H2O. I know H2O got a steelbook, but it's bare bones. There's no special features, nothing in it. So they don't really celebrate great movies. But if it did come out, I'd be on that because The Faculty, I think it's in my top. Definitely my top 20 horror movies of all time.
So good. So good. The music was good. The soundtrack was good.
Oh, I
The
love the
premise
soundtrack.
was so interesting. It's good. I really enjoyed it for sure.
Uh, And it's another movie that, although it's got sci-fi elements to it, they borrowed Scream, the way they made Scream. They done the
Yeah.
exact same with The Faculty. Nobody complained.
You're right. Nobody did complain. Well, I guess they'll be like, well, it was original, so it was allowed to copy off that.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's a good movie. Really good movie. If you haven't checked it out, go check out The Faculty. You won't regret it. I guarantee it.
Mhm.
If you don't like H2O, it's kind of nothing like that, really, except for like the scream tones. Other than that, totally different movie. Go check it out. Barry, appreciate you coming on tonight and hanging out. Doing a ranking of Halloween means a lot. We've been trying to get together for a while. We are going to do something with H2O. Just never could get the timing right. So luckily, I was on vacation. You were free. We knocked this out. I had a really good time talking Halloween with you as always. Hope you enjoyed yourself as well, my friend.
I did. Thanks a lot for inviting me on. It's always good to come onto a channel and not host. I always feel stressed when I'm hosting
Yeah.
a live stream. I don't know how you feel. But yeah, it's good coming on, just kind of having a good chat about Halloween, especially someone who loves Halloween H2O almost as
Yes.
much as me. Not quite as much, but almost
Not
as
as
much
much.
as me.
Almost. I had to get
Mhm.
that steel book. I wasn't gonna pass up that bad boy. One of my subscribers sent it to me. My buddy Andrew Stevens, thank you, buddy, sent me that. He said I have to send something to somebody who appreciates H2O as much as you. And I said, well, thank you, my good friend. I even like the mask. I don't hate the mask either. So, well, CGI mask. I think everybody hates that one.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
uh,
I didn't buy the H2O Steelbook because it didn't have the Stan Winston mask on it. It had
uh,
is it K
the
and B
goop.
mask all the way over it?
Yeah, it did. Makes no
But
sense, but
nah.
it was
So
there.
I'm like,
I don't.
nah, I can't buy that. Sorry.
I, I I wonder whose executive decision it was to put that mask on the cover and not the Stan Winston one.
So silly.
I don't get it.
I edited the picture of the Stan Winston mask on the cover, and it looks a lot better.
I can imagine because the K and B
Mm,
mask is pretty scary. He looks like an alien.
yeah, looks like a
Doesn't
light
work.
bulb.
It's like a light bulb. That's a good point. A light bulb with hair.
Yep, that's what it
It's
felt like.
not a fan. Not a fan. But
Yeah.
H2O, good movie. If you hate it, we don't care because I'm gonna watch it anyway. That's my wife's favorite movie too in the Halloween franchise. So we do watch it a lot. So I'm
Hmm.
always down for Halloween H2O. Barry, thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it. Have a good Halloween. And everybody, if you're watching after the fact, like the video. Links are down below for Barry's channel. Go check out and subscribe if you are not subscribed to WolfmansGotNards. Amazing content on the daily, pretty much anymore, it seems. He's a busy man, way more busier than me on the channel. I wish I could do more, but I can't. Yeah. Tell us your ranking down below or your favorite openings in the franchise. And I will see you guys next week. The Devil's Night, October 30th. Halloween Ends, 1 year anniversary watch along. I might be crying because I love the movie so much. And I don't care who knows it. Have a good night, everybody. And I'll see you next week.